Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Loony Bin, and there have been some who have recommended me to watch this video, because it pertains to shipping in One Piece, and from the gist of the content, there is some stuff to check out. I'm gonna try to be as neutral as possible as I can to this video. This is a video by O'Hara. He is one of the bigger One Piece YouTube channels. He has like 1.39 million subscribers. So I'm very interested to see the takes on this, because shipping in One Piece is very volatile, and like there's some strange reasonings to certain things that I'm willing to check out. Hey, Opnia, what's up? I am ready to do this. Can't wait. So this should be fun. All right. Let's see. Okay, we have Luffy Hancock first. So all right. Let's see how this turns out.
Luffy and Hancock, Zoro and Hiyori, Kaya and Usopp. One Piece fans sure do love themselves a good ship, so once the journey around the Grand Line is over and Luffy's Pirate King, who are all of the Straw Hats actually going to settle down with? So imagine this, the quest for the One Piece has ended, and it's now time for the Straw Hats to sail back across the Grand Line to head back home. But along the way, they're all gonna find the loves of their life, and Sanji knows exactly who he wants to marry. Well, which...
Okay. Yes. I did. Okay, so that's one point I do agree on. Romance or shipping won't happen until after One Piece is over, after they find, after they complete their adventure. That is true. That I can agree with. That's exactly what will happen. All right. So far, okay, it's understandable.
Two people he actually wants to marry. To celebrate finding the all blue, Sanji immediately gets...
Okay, automatically, there's one false statement with this. There's not only two people Sanji would love to marry. There's multiple people who Sanji would love to marry. It's not exclusive to just two people. He wants to do it, and he wants to marry, and wants to be with so many other characters. A lot of other female characters. So that's strange that you think only two people can. Right? You could say that they had, more of the impactful moments, the more emotional moments between these two characters. But the idea that Sanji will only do it with these two characters, like only these two, that is a stretch.
Gets down on one knee and proposes to both Nami and Robin, of course, and is immediately rejected.
Okay. Fair enough.
By both of them. They are like 0% interested. In fact, they only like him for his cooking, but the constant nosebleeds are a huge turnoff. But wait, all
Okay.
hope is of course not lost yet for the most romantic member of the crew. Didn't he like really hit it off with Viola from...
Okay, so he's not wrong in that scenario. He's not wrong. The reason why, for me personally, I don't agree with Sanji Nami or Sanji Robin is because they know who Sanji is. They understand, that kind of stuff. Hey, Chrissy darling, has to be pudding. I will agree with you on that. Yes, that's the thing. Shipping do require a lot of time. Have to have a lot of time. Shipping in general, the more time two characters spend with each other, the higher chance that that ship usually comes true. One of the critiques I personally have for a ship like Naruto Hinata is that you don't get that time in the manga, in the story. You get moments, but you don't get that time in between those moments that Kishimoto really should have focused on. So yes, it's like I can understand why I agree with him on that. His perverseness, the way he acts sometimes, that is really much a turnoff for almost any female character in general. So, okay.
Dressrosa? I mean, surely the island of love and passion is where he can finally reunite with his soulmates. Nope. Turns out that she already found someone else. She went ahead and got into a political marriage with one of the Fishman Island princes, who, by the way, was way in...
Wait, what? Is that fucking true? Wait, what? Wait, that's not true, is it? When did that happen? Did I miss something in the Riviera? Wait, what? Did I miss something? What? Hold on. I feel like this is... What? Hold on. When was this? Hold on. What? Is this just him guessing? Is that what's happening? Because I do not remember that in the story. That didn't happen either. What? I don't... Yeah, that... Okay. So he's just giving his own idea and theory about it.
Into the fact that she could cry whales. You snooze, you lose, good chef. But wait, Fishman Island? Of course. That gives Sanji an even better idea. He'll just go and marry a beautiful mermaid. However, once the crew arrives back at Fishman Island, he once again almost dies from his terminal nosebleed. It'll just never work out. On the other hand though, thankfully, Jinbei does actually finally settle down here. A beautiful shark lady named Charlie reads Jinbei's fortune, which says that they will be together forever. Good on you, Jinbei. She's really a babe. Now, sure, Jinbei didn't get along too well with her half-brother Arlong. Yes, they are related once he got all evil and stuff, but...
What's happening? None of this is based on actual facts. This is just him theorizing and talk about his own preferences, is it not? Or is it like, this is just what he believes will happen? I am so confused. This isn't... Okay, so just based off this, it seems like he is just simply theorizing ships that could happen at the end of One Piece or after the adventure is over. Alright.
But hey, they can let bygones be bygones.
I thought this was all about, like, actual evidence.
Island reminds me that some people on the internet actually used to ship Luffy and Shirahoshi together back in...
Yeah, it's like he's writing his own ending, which, I mean, you can. There's not a problem with that, but it's fan fiction. It should... I thought this video is starting off way different than I thought it would be. In terms of Luffy Shirahoshi, yes, there was an instance where people did ship them at some point. The issue, of course, became, with how big Shirahoshi is and stuff like that, but that doesn't matter in a world like One Piece. It's very unlikely, in my personal opinion, because they bonded for a bit, sure, but like I don't see that bond being anything stronger than like past anything like just friends. Google said this, I copy and pasted it. Madame Charlie is short-fin mako shark mermaid living on Fishman Island. She's the proprietor of the Mermaid Cafe and Arlong's younger half-sister. Yes, that is true. That is actually true. Jinbei and Charlie, I mean, sure. I mean, there's not an issue with that for me. Maybe the age gap is a little weird, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's not wrong. It's not. I mean, if you want to ship that, that's not anything wrong
in the day. And even though this hypothetical will probably take place a few years later in the timeline, Shirahoshi is 16, and I am not shipping a child with anyone. And if you are hoping...
Okay, he's correct in the fact that none of this will happen with the current ages that the characters are in. Luffy Shirahoshi is not as bad of a ship simply because it's a 3 age gap. I think 19 and 16, where like it's in some places in some states, specifically in the United States, they have the Romeo and Juliet laws, which is essentially where you cannot punish like someone who's 18 who's dating a 16-year-old as like, that kind of stuff. You can't punish them because that age gap is still perfectly fine, right? Romeo and Juliet laws can still be perfect in effect for something like this, which tells me that this person is not going to say Sanji pudding. But again, I think a lot of people think that ships are going to happen instantly, right? Instantly. The thing is that a lot of the ships are not going to happen until the epilogue, until after the end of One Piece. So a situation like Sanji pudding can still happen, just nothing major will happen until after after they're both, you know, adults. You know?
Hoping to see Bonnie paired with anyone in this video? Nope, absolutely not. Crepes. But let's instead now focus on some actual realistic One Piece ships. No, not like the Thousand Sunny, wrong kind of ships. What I mean is that there are still plenty of other perfect One Piece couples that we need to see to go, so let's keep finding the Straw Hats their perfect soulmates. By this time, Sanji is pretty certain that he's destined to just die alone, so to cheer him up, the crew decides to take a trip to Wano to see some old friends there. Of course, the pleasure district there is the only thing that's really on his mind.
Danmachi,
But
nice.
while revisiting the Kozuki clan though, Sanji's depression only deepens because the most beautiful woman in all of Wano, Hiyori, just rose herself at Zoro and begs for his hand in marriage. Sanji is absolutely mortified. How could Zoro, this stupid mustache, possibly have better luck with women than he does with all that he does for them? Sanji begs her to reconsider to marry him instead, but she's just like, the Soba guy? Ew, no. And he quietly mumbles to himself about being a prince, but she's too busy getting rejected by Zoro, the #1 heartbreaker in all of One Piece.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to... Okay. Well, I'm glad he mentioned this because Zoro is clearly not interested. And that's not necessarily just simply for Hiyori. He's just not interested in general. Zoro is definitely the type of guy who's, like, too focused on, like, trying to become the world's strongest swordsman. So, any sort of ship in the current situation probably won't happen. Maybe after he becomes the world's strongest swordsman. Zoro Hiyori is a good possibility of a ship. I don't know how... percentage-wise, how much, though? You know, I don't know. I totally wouldn't mind Sanji turning gay for no reason at the end of One Piece. Listen, Zosan is the most popular ship in One Piece. It's the most popular ship out of everybody. Like, even more so than any hetero ship. Zosan is, like, at the top, you know? If I had a choice, if I was a writer, I would definitely do Zosan just because just because. But this Hiyori is not Zoro Hiyori is not an awful ship. It's just there's just so much that, like, it's just hard to see, and you know there's also other Zoro ships that could work out as well. So, but at the end of the day, Zoro is one of those characters who is not interested in romance, and just it's unlikely until after the end of One Piece when he's no longer worrying about being the world's strongest swordsman. Zoro will marry Hiyori just to piss off Sanji? No, if you want to piss off Sanji, right? If he really wanted to piss off Sanji, Zoro should marry Reiju. Zoro should get with Reiju. That would extremely piss off Sanji. Because now Zoro is essentially his brother-in-law. Now, if you really want to piss off Sanji, that's how you do it. Oh, man.
So, maybe Sanji will have a chance with Yamato? Nope, just in time, Yamato busts in.
The fuck is this? Hold on. Wait, no, he's actually going to say Yamato and Katakuri? No way. No. No. Hold on.
With her new boyfriend, Katakuri. I mean...
Why, though? But why? I understand this is literally after One Piece is over, but, like, what would the... No, there... What? Okay. I said everyone can have a crack ship. I guess this is his crack ship. But, like, it's a crack ship. I mean, I don't know. I mean, good for them, I guess, but, like, alright. Kaido daughter and Big Mom's son. There is still that possibility. I don't know how true that is, but, like, god damn.
Come on, Kaido and Big Mom were pretty great allies back in the day, so it just makes sense that their kids would...
And they could have also had sex, and maybe that Yamato is Big Mom's
kind of hit it off as well. I mean, talk about a power couple. At this point, Sanji is just in the depths of despair. He is just convinced that he is doomed to die alone at this point, but then he remembers the one person who has always been there with him. As he gazes at the skull of Onigashima resting near the flower capital, he remembers the tender moments that he shared there with Zoro in the dim candlelight when he tended to Zoro's wounds and wrapped him up in a big pack of bandages. Could this be love? No, he hates that stupid Mossad. Meanwhile, though, Brook takes a pilgrimage.
Hey. Don't count it out just yet. No, he's not wrong.
Up to the top of Mount Fuji. I mean, he fears that his time for love has long passed. After all, who would want to be with a literal skeleton? And it's a real shame that the soul...
Okay, come on. Give Brooks, I mean, there's a possibility there's a living female skeleton out there somewhere. You never know. It's One Piece. Anything can happen.
King of all people doesn't get a soul mate, but as he gazes into the boiling lava of the volcano, he remembers the magical night that he had once spent with Big Mom, the one who got away. However, at last, Big Mom and Kaido got to settle all of the differences and ended up together forever in the grave in that volcano. I mean, they would be a great couple if they weren't so super dead. But not all hope is lost yet for Sanji, though, because there are still many islands left on the Grand Line where he could finally find his true love. So onwards to Zou, where no one wants to settle down with a human boy like Sanji, but Chopper, on the other hand, he gets all the Garchus there. He could end up with Carrot and end up being the...
No, not with Carrot, because they see each other as siblings. I think, like, Chopper even told Carrot to call her Chopper Bro. So, probably not. Milky, however, is most likely. Milky and Chopper, probably most likely. Or to turn Sanji gay, my life is yours.
King of Zou, honestly, but no.
I mean,
Chopper has his eye on another. Milky, the reindeer babe, who has stolen his whole heart
Reindeer
ago.
babe?
And I mean, come on. This is just the perfect pairing for Chopper. Carrot literally calls him Big Bro all the time, so they just don't have that type of relationship, I think. But whenever Milky's around, Chopper goes all hearty eyes, just like Sanji does. If you remember the Zou arc, it was basically love at first sight. Really. Oh, great, Sanji now thinks to himself. Even the youngest crew member has now found someone for himself, and I am still alone forever. Now, Luffy at this point sees just how bummed out Sanji really is, and after rubbing his two brain cells together really hard and long enough, though, he finally has formulated a
Where's
thought.
this going?
Maybe it'll cheer Sanji up to visit his family. So they head over to the Germa Kingdom because in Luffy's tiny brain, he thinks that maybe Sanji's dad will know some nice girl that he can set up his son with. However, instead, Sanji's mental health is just instantly obliterated when his sister Reiju instead hits on his captain. She just can't stop thinking.
Alright.
Thinking about that magical kiss that she shared with the Pirate King when she sucked a bunch of poison out of him before Whole Cake Island. And so she goes down, proposes, offering Luffy the...
Okay. First off, Luffy and Reiju discussed before. They interacted with each other. There was no single interest whatsoever between the two of them, right? Aside from that CPR kiss where he's sucking the poison out of, Luffy's body. I don't know. No, if you literally had a good setup for Zoro and Reiju. Like, if you really want to torture Sanji, that's literally how you could do it. Granted, Zoro Sanji is a crack ship at this point in time, but like, I mean, if you're gonna make fun of it, might as well make fun of that.
Peace to the Germa Kingdom and a chance to be Sanji's actual brother. However, despite Reiju's immense beauty, of course, Luffy being Luffy, he just rejects her outright and says that he has another person in mind. What? The crew's reaction is the same as mine and is probably yours. Surprise? Shock? Awe? I mean, come on, shipping Luffy with anyone? Who could this lucky lady be that Luffy actually wants to be with? Isn't he aromantic? I personally didn't even think that Luffy was capable of...
Okay, aromantic is more of a proper way to describe Luffy. However, Luffy it does know about romance. He's not stupid. He's not dumb. He's not a child. He knows about romance. He knows about kissing, wedding, marriages, and all that stuff. So aromantic is just means that he doesn't really understand the nuances of romance, right? And maybe he doesn't have like the normal romantic like ability like most people, but he's still a healthy boy. He understands. He's interested in the female body, but he's not just entranced, meaning that he doesn't act like Sanji. To say that Luffy can't feel any sort of romance, I feel like that disregards Luffy because he is very emotionally intelligent, and at the same time, the emotional intelligence from Luffy means that he can understand romance, kissing, and all that stuff, right? He's just not interested in it at the moment because, let's face it, his focus is on the goal. Maybe down the line, sure.
Feeling attraction for like anyone. Perhaps we'll find out on the island of Alabasta though, but not before a quick detour to Tim Burton Island so that Zoro can see Mihawk and also reject Perona. I think I'm not even speculating here when I say that she probably really came to fancy him over the time skip, but Heartbreaker Zoro doesn't want a beautiful goth girlfriend either because he thinks that she's way too annoying. So sorry Perona, I'm pretty sure that there's somebody out there for
reasonable. That's reasonable. There's definitely interest on Perona's side a little bit, definitely. On Zoro's side, again, with any ship with Zoro, that's like one of the main things that's going to be like a negative towards Zoro. Of any Zoro ship.
Do great with Bartolomeo. Punks and goths do go together like peanut butter and jelly after all, but we'll see. That's up to you. Okay, now.
Okay. I never thought about that, but sure. Okay. Cute crack ship.
Actually onto Alabasta though. And of course, Luffy wants to get together with Vivi. I mean, it's the perfect match. The Pirate King and the Pirate Queen, who's like a literal actual queen and a D member as well, and it fulfills the love that probably existed back in the day between Joy Boy and Nefertari D. Lily. Oh, nope. I guess Luffy just wanted to say hi, but if Luffy's not interested, then who will Vivi end up with? Who will then be the new king of Alabasta?
I already know where this is going. He's gonna say Nami, isn't he?
Koza? Her childhood friends? No, come on, get out of here. It's Nami. Alabasta doesn't need a king, it needs two queens, let's be honest. Now, this is a fanship that has existed in the community for a long, and I can't stretch this enough, long time. And I mean, come on, just rewatch the Alabasta saga and tell me that Nami and Vivi are not literally in love with each other. I guess the only real problem with this pairing happening is that it gets really confusing when they're drawn in black and white because without their hair colors, I mean, sometimes you just barely can tell the two apart, honestly. Oh, and did I upset anyone who wanted Luffy and Nami to end up together? I mean, kind of hate to break it to you, but that's kind of silly. I mean, the crew is a family. They should not be dating each other. Luffy and Nami have never ever shown any romantic interest in each other. The only reason anyone would think that they should be together is because you think that the main boy and the main girl should automatically end up together. And I mean, while I'm talking about it right now, I should probably acknowledge the fact that Oda has talked about how he doesn't really want to write about romance between the crew anyway at all, which probably...
Oh boy. That's a lot. What am I looking at? Corsair keyboard. That is a lot to take in. Okay. Okay, I might as well start from the whole thing with Vivi. Okay. First off, if you want to believe Nami's a lesbian, all the more power to you. To make you believe that it's canon that Nami and Vivi are lesbians, that's a different story. There's a big difference between canon and headcanon. Right now, a lot of people, and it is true, the Nami Vivi ship has been a thing for quite a while. It's always been dormant. Only very few amount of people actually supported the Nami Vivi ship until eventually it got to where social media, more people got involved into One Piece. It became much more bigger, right? At the same time, people do this thing, and it's not just in One Piece. It's in a lot of series actually, where they do try very hard to make something that right now isn't confirmed one way or the other into an actual canon, right? Like, I joke about Zosan because I know it's probably not going to happen, right? Nami Vivi, their relationship really doesn't go beyond anything romantic either. It really doesn't, because it's literally two people who are literally friends, right? This idea that, like, you know, Vivi needs a queen or king and it has to be Nami seems a little like I'm all for progressiveness, but at the same time it's like, what information do you have, or what proof do you have to say that either one of them are lesbians? There is no evidence to that reason. I know more than likely you'll probably say it as well. There's that whole thing with Khalifa, right? The problem with the Khalifa thing is that it's not seen as something that, like, should be taken as evidence because of the way Nami visually looks. Sure, the dialogue says, I wish I had a secretary like that, or something along those lines. At the same time, it's like Oda literally tells you that he's using it as a gag. The context of that situation is important, right? If you want to believe that Nami's a lesbian, if you want to believe Nami Vivi's a ship, you're more than welcome to. I'm not going to tell you can't. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. But understand there's a difference between canon and headcanon, and I think a lot of people seem to mistake that. You could say that about, the ships I prefer as well. That's perfectly fine, right? That's perfectly, a reasonable conclusion you to make. That being said, there's no actual proof. People keep saying, go back to Alabasta. Look how, they clearly love each other. What proof is that they are in love with each other if it's not also could just be them being best friends? Understand that Nami is very, very much someone who gets along with a lot of female characters, whether it be Shirahoshi, whether it be Carrot, or anyone else. Why are some people believing Nami Vivi are lesbians, but why can't it be Nami Robin? Why can't it be Nami, Shirahoshi or anything like that? Why is it only in that certain situation where, like, because Nami and Vivi have a close, bond, means that automatically, like, they have to be together, right? They're also missing a few things. One of them is being time. They don't have a lot of time. You could point to Alabasta, sure, that's fine. But what about everything else? You don't have a lot of time what they spent together. It's one of the issues that Kishimoto had with Naruto and Hinata. Like, and other things is that Vivi does talk more about Luffy than Nami. So it's like, all the more power to you. Like I said, all the more power to you that, Nami and Vivi could wind up together. Sure. Anything is a possibility at this point with the way One Piece is. And, but it just, it doesn't, the one problem with the ship that I think most people have is that you're trying to portray as Nami being a lesbian as canon when there's no evidence to prove otherwise. The same way, like, any ship doesn't have any evidence to prove otherwise, except for something like Sanji Pudding, where, like, there's an actual possible interest there between them, right? Luffy Hancock, you could also say, Hancock, has a one-sided love with Luffy, sure, but Luffy's just not interested. The same thing with Zoro Hiyori. It's all headcanon at this point. Most of this video showcased this person talking about, possibilities and theories about who he believes, should be, shipped together, right? So, it just, it's like, the idea to just throw out Vivi and Koza is so wild to me, because at the same time, it's like, why are we throwing that out? Like, why? Well, why is that something where, like, we have to immediately throw out? It doesn't make any sense to me. Hey, Red Halo. Right? We immediately rejecting something that between two characters that kind of do have a past between each other, who probably spent a lot of time together when they were kids and stuff like that. Friends to lover trope. That's a actual trope, and I feel it's disingenuous to immediately throw it out. Immediately just throw it out because this idea of Nami Vivi being a ship, right? I feel like throwing it out is just automatically just like you're not giving credit to the way Oda wrote at least Vivi and Koza's relationship. Well, I don't get why he thinks that people who like Luffy and Nami want them together because of the elites. Oh yes, that's what I'm gonna get to. First off, yes, they are the leads. Main girl, main guy. So I'm glad he recognized that because there's a lot of people who don't recognize that, right? That is also a very disingenuous or very vague view of their relationship. People only want them because they're main girl, main guy. So you're saying that, like, that's the main reason people ship them? That's not the main reason people ship them. That is such a weird statement to make. People don't just care about that. They care about the fucking bond the two share. Sure, it may not come off as romantic, in nature, similar to how like Sanji does things or Hancock does things at all. But that's not the point. Even Oda admits that one-sided love, such as that, is purely seen as a gag. He said it in an SBS. He said it in an interview with the author of Detective Conan. Oda views that as something that, he's perfectly fine with, but he doesn't take it as seriously with. It's like, you can't, like... the whole thing about them being leads as a reason why so many people ship them is so false. You're completely discrediting all the moments that they had. Whether they be romantic or just simply friendship. You're discrediting those moments as to the reason why people love this ship. That's the issue I have with that. Right? That's the issue I have. I don't have an issue with the idea that, they haven't shown any romantic moments or, like, showcase any sort of romantic interest because, the reality is they may not have. That's not the key thing. And I think this way of shipping is very shallow in a way. Because people think that you have to immediately have one character fall in love with another to be a ship. That's not how that works. That's not how any way a ship actually works. Just think of like any normal relationship that anyone has in the real world, right? It's not just that you have to have an interest. You grow together, you become friends, you learn more about each other, then you could slowly fall in love, right? That's why it's like, I don't agree with that assessment. That's the only reason people like it. It doesn't make any sense. Like, okay, we're heading to the interesting part of this video. Again, there's no evidence whatsoever that Nami, Vivi are lesbians and that they love each other in Alabasta. Do they love each other as friends? Yes. Oda has called them friends before during his comments in the Usopp Gallery, right? Vivi's also friends with the rest of the Straw Hats. That's perfectly fine. Friendship at the core, right? At the core of any ship, friendship is key. That's perfectly fine. But to say outright that they are in love with each other is also headcanon. That's also a headcanon. Because you could view it, you could interpret it as such, but that doesn't mean it's exactly that. It's similar to how people who ship in My Hero Academia, Ochako and Toga, right? It's very similar to that. Granted, not in the way that it's presented in My Hero Academia, right? But just the idea that two female characters can be very close to each other automatically means that they're lesbians. It's similar to how yaoi shippers ship Zoro and Sanji because they feel like, they are, the way they interact, the way they stuff, that they have to be canon, that they have to be, gay for each other. It's the same logic you're presenting for both ships, right? You reject Zosan, but you believe Nami Vivi is a possibility. Yet you're presenting them both in a very similar fashion. That's the key. That's the key where I don't agree with. That you, like... Maybe I'm weird. Maybe I'm stupid. I don't know.
Probably some of you have already typed in the comments, and yes, I'm still making this video anyways because it's fun and I wanted to do it, but wow, I mean, for a series where the first chapter is literally called Romance Dawn, there sure isn't a lot of romance dawning. But hey, I mean, shippers are gonna ship, and so am I, so I have an even better partner in mind for Luffy later on. And I hear what you're saying now, come on Manu, I mean, surely we can have at least one crew-on-crew relationship.
Okay. What evidence is that? What reasoning is that? The first chapter is called Romance Dawn, yet there's no romance involved between these two characters? We don't even use that as evidence. Like, Luffy Nami fans don't even use that as evidence. What do you... What are we talking about here? What is this? Why is that like a thing? Oh boy.
I mean, Frankie and Robin are like the fun aunt and uncle of the group. They do have great chemistry together, they're both highly intelligent, but unfortunately for all of you Frankie and Robin shippers out there, he does ask her out and she's flattered, but it turns out that Robin and Law actually have been secretly dating since the Wano arc. And come on, be real with me, you kind of have to admit that that's something that these two would absolutely have been doing officially in the story. I mean, you can kind of see it, no? It's not just me, right? Both of them are just so quiet and secretive that they just never actually mention it to anyone. Kind of like how Robin has gone the entire time skip without saying to Luffy, hey, by the way, I hung out with your dad and your presumed dead childhood friend for 2 years. Maybe I should mention that. But come on, I mean, Law and Robin are perfect for each other. They share the same dream to uncover the secret of the poneglyphs, and what is more important in One Piece than dreams? Also, beyond just that, they both have those too cool for school personas. Law loves Robin's dark, twisted sense of humor, and Robin thinks that it's really cute that Law's secretly a big old nerd who absolutely loves comic books. And of course, they both love hanging out.
My. Do you know why I'm currently upset with this? It isn't that, you know, I disagree with Frankie Robin or Law Robin. I really don't give a shit about those two ships. It's the shallow way of shipping. It's the fucking shallow way of shipping. Oh, he's giving evidence for ships in the most shallow way possible. And it's like... Law and Robin can be a cute ship, can be a very interesting ship, but at the same time, the reasonings behind them is like... He's discrediting bonds of these characters who have been together for a long time and discrediting them and pushing to characters who have less bond, less moments, less time to this video represents essentially the shallow way that people think shippers are. It really does represent that. It really does. He's presenting it as like this thing where like people ship whoever they want. They give like any sort of reason to do so. It's shallow. He rejects Luffy Nami, ignores their bond, the bond that they actually have, right? He rejects Frankie Robin, which, by the way, Frankie Robin, you know, at least is somewhat more reasonable than Law and Robin, right? And it's just like, what are we doing?
out with their trusted animal companions, Bippo and Chopper. Really, the more I look at this, I really just feel like these two are just made for each other, but there are still plenty of more ships that we gotta go through. So if Frankie sadly can't be with Robin, who will he be with? Will he just build himself a new nice robot wife? I mean, if only there was a fellow science-loving babe out there somewhere in one... Oh, wait, there it is. Frankie learned a whole lot about robotics by studying Vegapunk's research, but now he will learn a whole lot about love from Dr. Vegapunk as well, specifically Vegapunk Lilith, his hot new science wife. And come on, I mean, you can see it, right? These two have pretty good chemistry as well. As for Sanji though, he's...
How are you gonna say they have pretty good chemistry and then say Frankie Robin don't? Frankie and Vegapunk barely interacted, and it's more of admiration for a fellow scientist. Oh. This is literally a shallow way of shipping that people view shippers as. He's speaking like an actual casual shipper. He's not going. He is not going into what he mentions certain things. You know, with the whole, Law and Robin having interest in the Apokolips and stuff like that. But, like, that's not how that works. That's not how shipping works in general. That's a shallow reason. You could use it as a reason. Don't get me wrong. You could definitely use it. But you need more than that. You need a lot more than that. The reasons you are giving are reasons why there's literally shipping wars. Because people counteract those type of reasons because it's not strong enough. In their mind, both like eat onigiri, so that's enough to shit them, for example. That part of that, yes. That's like saying Nami should be with Kid because they have similar, reddish type of hair. Reddish orange type of hair. Like, that's not a good reason at all. Like, the fact that he believes that the only reason why people love Luffy and Nami is because of the main girl, main heroine, tells me all I need to know how he views shipping in general. Like,
he's just seeing couples form all around him, and he is just beyond bummed out at this point, verging on the point of depression. There's really only one person that he can now turn to in this very trying time, his loving dad, nope, not Judge, his real dad, Zeph. And so the crew now heads over to the East Blue so that Sanji can eat his feelings out at the Baratier. But on their way back through Reverse Mountain, Brook finally reunites with someone very special to him. I mean, it's not romantic love, because it would be kind of weird if Brook was dating a whale, though he was hitting on Big Mom, but Brook and Laboon are reunited at last. But turns out that the East Blue was a really bad idea because now Sanji has to deal with even Usopp getting married before him. He has been outdone by the crew member with the objectively least amount of risk of everyone because, of course, Usopp is gonna marry Kaya back home in Syrup Village. She has always been waiting for him while he went out on his adventures, and very much unlike his dad, Usopp actually came back. What a concept. And as a perk, he's now married into a massive fortune that he can use to fund all of his dumb inventions and art projects. And also, just saying, but Usopp would probably be like the world's greatest and goofiest dad, despite not ever having had a real father figure himself. And then over in Loketown, even Sanji's greatest rival
he literally talked about no reason. Usopp Kai is going to be a ship. I'm not saying Usopp Kai is not going to be a thing. He gave absolutely no actual reason as to like what makes Usopp Kai such a great ship. The only thing he mentions is that, she's waiting for him. Can you talk about why that's a good ship? Again, it's like he's purposely not going to detail for this. He's trying to tell a comedic story about Sanji finding love. This is why this is why it's very difficult for me to take this video seriously as any sort of shipping video, because he's not going to detail as to why, you know, these ships work, you know, much more. Granted, it's a short video, so I can at least understand in that regard. But then he's also talking about, like, the shallow reasons for why certain ships don't work and why certain ships should work. You know? It's like,
Well, Zoro finally reunites with his ideal match. However, on the way to propose to her, he does get lost and passes Buggy and Alvida, spending their honeymoon together, drinking wine at Roger's execution platform, and remembering the first big scheme they ever plotted together. But then, finally, he does make it to the marine base, where he finds Tashigi. Now, of course, at first, she just assumes that Zoro is there for a duel, but instead, he gets down on one knee and asks her for her hand in marriage. Let's be real here, there have been plenty of people on the Grand Line who threw themselves at Zoro, but for the King of Hell to spend his life with someone, they're gonna have to be just as big of a sword nerd as he is. Finally, he recognizes her as her own person, independent of Kuina, and they are bonded together in holy matrimony, and mostly in swordsmanship, let's be honest here. Smoker, of course, is pretty mad at the idea of Tashigi getting together with one of the Straw Hats at first, but his new wife Hina does convince him that it's all good. Okay, but now, honestly, who will Sanji possibly...
okay. See, that's a little bit more reasonable in a way, right? There's a little bit more reasonable in explaining why Zoro Tashigi could be a good ship at the end, why Zoro wouldn't be with Tashigi at the end. That's reasonable. You know, you gave some sort of nuance, you gave some sort of evidence. But the other ships that he has is like, there's none of it. There's very little of it, and either that, it's shallow. I'll get to that soon once we get to that part of the video.
Possibly end up with. Basically, every woman in the world has already rejected him at this point, and who is Luffy's mysterious love interest gonna be? Well, before leaving the East Blue, the crew first has to make a stop over at the Goa Kingdom, and while there, Luffy reunites with Makino and is surprised to see Shanks there as well, along with the baby that they probably had together as well. Well, first of all, I don't know what's more surprising, Shanks being there as a loving husband or Shanks still being alive at the end of the story, but also it does make a lot of sense that someone who loves drinking as much as Shanks does would end up with a bartender. And also celebrating their honeymoon in the Goa Kingdom are Sabo and Koala of the Revolutionary Army. You know it. Because of course Sabo would want to show her around the place where he had like the most traumatic childhood ever, because after all, if it hadn't been for him nearly being killed by the nobles there, they would have never met. How sweet of him. But at this point, Sanji has just given up.
Okay. So you believe that Sabo Koala is a ship that will happen at the end. Awesome. You know, I agree. But again, once again, you're discounting what makes their relationship great. You're discounting. He's not making fun of him. He's making fun of Sanji for the most part in this video, you know. But he's not discounting him. He's saying that yes, Sabo Koala will be together because of, you know. He didn't say it specifically, but he said because of, like, you know, they're both revolutionists. They both, you know, they share the same things. You know, they have interests together and stuff like that, right? Why in the like? Do you have any idea how much similarities there are between Sabo Koala and Luffy Nami? In fact, you could find even more similarities between Sabo Koala and stuff like Oden Toki as well. They have a very similar dynamic, yet you believe one of them and the dynamic is great, but you don't believe in the other one as well. That's where the problem is. you're saying a ship like Sabo Koala is perfect and will be, canon at the end, but you're disregarding the type of relationship they do have, which you can see similarities in the way Luffy and Nami are. They have very similar, patterns that they do. It's he's doing this very abbreviated version of it, but at the same time, he's trying very hard to deny certain ships for like really weird reasons, really shallow reasons. He's not going over their bonds at all. And if he did go over their bonds, such as between Sabo Koala, he would see that they share very much similarities with Luffy Nami. You can that's the most mind-boggling thing about this. Oda is very, very Oda is very meticulous in the way he writes certain, relationships. If you see similarities between the way he writes relationships, you will see patterns. But for the most part, he's not recognizing those patterns because he's giving off also these weird, shallow reasons why shippers enjoy these ships. That's my major problem with this video. Not that he's saying ships that I disagree with or anything like that. Really, the only ship I like is Luffy Nami and One Piece. I don't really care about the other ships. But I care about the reasons people ship these characters together. That's what I care about.
Hope completely. He has traveled literally the entire globe. He even found the all blue, and people always tell him there are plenty of fish in the sea, but he literally found every fish, and still no one will marry him. But then Luffy has a great idea, because he knows a whole island of just women. And honestly, that's a bit of a better idea than the first one, because maybe Amazon Lily will actually cheer Sanji up.
I hope he's not going where I think he's
Sanji
going.
once again suffer major blood loss here, he is even more mortified when the literal most beautiful woman in the entire world throws herself at his captain. And to everyone's legit surprise, Luffy actually accepts her proposal. I mean, before he never even gave her the time of day, but it turned out that the pirate empress Boa Hancock finally found the way to Luffy's heart. Because by promising him an infinite quantity of very delicious meat, she has finally locked down her man.
Oh my fucking god! Shallow reasons. That's all that's being thrown here. Shallow fucking reasons. Oh! 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 It's a fucking... Oh my god. I can't. I can't. I fucking can't. How in the world are you telling me Luffy, who is one of the most emotionally intelligent characters in the fucking world, who rejected Hancock several fucking times, even when she actually legit gave him fucking food, is going to accept Hancock because she's going to supply him with a limited amounts of food? How dumb do you think Luffy fucking is? Why are you giving me such the most shallow fucking reason in the fucking world? But not talk about, like, maybe, Luffy might, reconsider his, stance and his feelings of, like, Hancock. Why don't you talk about that? Why are you giving us the most shallow fucking reason for a He's not fucking Goku. He's not a fucking child. He's smart. He's intelligent. Yes, he does stupid shit, but that's not what Luffy... You're making him into a fucking child. Oh my fucking god, he's not Goku. He knows what romance is. He knows what marriage, kissing. Oh. Oh, why are you giving me this reason? Give me an actual fucking good reason. What do we have? If you like Luffy Hancock, please use a fucking reason that isn't this shallow. You're making Luffy seem like he's a fucking... You're making Luffy feel like he's a fucking child who doesn't understand any of this. Sure, he may not, like, know about, like, you know, what makes something romantic in a relationship. Sure, I can agree with you a little bit on that. But he understands. He rejects her 3 fucking times. Even when she offers him clothes, food, meat. He just simply says, no, I'm not going to marry you. Please get rid of the clothes. Just give me the meat and I'll be fine. You're making Luffy... Whew. Please, give me actual good fucking reasons. Give me good emotional, actual good bond, trust reasons. Don't give me this shallow fucking reason of Luffy will immediately fall in love with anybody who just gives him fucking meat. Please. You're shipping them like how people view, like, it's such a shallow reason. That's like, oh my fucking god, please. Where's the emotion? Where's the bond, the trust? Oh my fucking god. This is why One Piece shipping is such abysmal. Because you know, everyone is thinking of these characters as you're not looking at the writing. You're not looking at the context of the things, the emotional bond of these characters. You're just thinking of them and giving the most shallow reasons why they should or shouldn't become a thing. Nami Vivi at least showcase some sort of emotional bond. That's perfectly fine. I don't disagree with that. The question is whether or not it's actually love or not. Whether they're lesbians or not. That's perfect. You know, them having an emotional connection, Nami and Vivi, that's perfect. Great. Awesome. I'm not mad about that. Because at the end of the day, they do have that. The question then becomes, are they actually a lesbian? Are they actually, you know, this and that? But you're giving shallow reasons for some of these fucking ships that are just like so... Oh my god. Oh my fuck. I don't get it. Shipping isn't just shipping 2 characters together. Shipping isn't just finding characters that have similarities or anything like that. Shipping, there's an art to shipping. There's an art to writing romances. Stop giving shallow reasons. Stop giving reasons that just... Stop giving reasons like they look good together because they're hot, because they, you know, because they appear with each other for so fucking long. Those are all shallow reasons. Time is important in romances, yes. The more you see these 2 characters interact with each other, yes, that is important. But not unless the context is showcasing some improvement in their relationship. Oh my god. This is literally how people think shippers are, like, stupid. Like, we just ship things out of just randomness. Or, like, just because we think 2 characters are hot. This is literally, like, the how people think who hate shippers think they are like. Like, come on.
And as well. As for Sanji though, thankfully, finally, their good friend Katakuri calls up the crew and just asks, dude, why don't you just get back together with my sister? She's totally into you. Now at first, Sanji is really confused here, but once Charlotte Pudding actually puts back the lost memories of their steamy kiss, it finally comes all flooding back to him. Yep, I bet you also forgot that Pudding actually removed those memories from Sanji's head altogether. Now he just can't stop staring into her 3 beautiful eyes, thinking about their future together. And And Pudding does truly share his passion, not for gorgeous babes, but for cooking. And yes, it's a little bit unconventional, but this time they do actually make their own wedding cake. They do have their cake and they eat it too. And I hope it's not just me, but also you who really wants to see Sanji end up with Pudding, because those two just fit together so well. And so all the straw...
Okay. Yes, I do think Sampo is the most likelihood for the ship for Sanji. You mentioned something before, my good sir, that you don't, in terms of Luffy Shirahoshi, that she's 16. You do know Pudding's 16 too. There's a bigger age gap there than Luffy Shirahoshi. You're being hypocritical in that sense. I understand you probably met like before, after the end of the series, so they're probably older. I agree with you on that. But you didn't say that here, so that's a little bit hypocritical here. But like, fucking hell, I just wish. This is literally the most. This is the most casual way to ship possible. He's explaining it in the most casual way possible, without any thinking about the context, the romance, the story, the bond, the trust. Everything is just nothing more than just taking shallow reasons, taking small things, and saying, yes, that's perfect. That makes them perfect. Like, oh, the ship companies have bad popularity because of this. Yes, shippers get a bad rep for reasons like this. Because a lot of people think, when they think shipping in One Piece, they think stuff like this in this video. You know, they think like, because of all these reasons, because of these shallow reasons we ship characters. That's not the reason we ship these characters. Like, please, this is such a, this isn't even just a bad One Piece shipping video. This is a bad shipping video in general. Because you're not giving actual good reasons. You're giving shallow reasons for these things. So it's like, what are we doing? This is the reason why shippers, or people think that shippers get such bad rep. Oh my god. Oh.
Hats lived happily ever after. But of course, there is a lot more to life than just love. So besides everyone coupling up at this point, what else will actually happen once One Piece ends? Will Nami actually finish making a map of the entire world? Will Usopp become a brave warrior of the sea? Well, to find out, check out my video about every...
Alright, well the video's over, but please, this is why shippers get such bad rep. This is why shippers are seen as fucking toxic, or are seen as just like not important, not interesting, because the reasons you gave in this video. Yes, you made it was a short video. Yes, you were making fun of it. You were joking. You know, this video was made for fun. Yes, great, perfect. But the damage it does, because you literally treated it as like this fan fiction of like the most shallow reasons why these ships work. And that's where I am disappointed. I don't care what you prefer, because you can prefer whatever you want. But please, when you're doing videos like this, give actual good reasons. Don't give me these shallow reasons. Oh my god. I swear. It's like, they think we're this dumb. They think shippers in One Piece, and not just in One Piece, but everywhere, in all other, like, media that we consume, they think we're this dumb. That a lot of these shallow reasons are the reasons why we ship these characters. They don't give a shit about the actual context and why we ship these characters. They don't treat us seriously. So it's like, that's where I'm so disappointed in this video. It's treating us so terribly. Stop giving such shallow reasons for ships to be true, to become canon, please. Please. Don't use this, like the Luffy Hancock example. Don't give the fucking reason that he will accept just because she could supply him with all the meat in the fucking world. That is such a shallow way of shipping. You're discrediting Luffy's emotional intelligence. You're making him think like a child, an idiot. Oh my fucking god, man. This video just kept getting worse and worse. Because the more you watch this video, the more you realize just how shallow the reasonings he's providing for these ships. Like, you're telling me the only reason people ship Luffy and Nami for 20 fucking years is because of the main girl and the main guy? That is, like, please. Please stop treating us like fucking we're dumb as shit. You're making shippers look like they're fucking idiots. Because we ship for shallow reasons. Sure, you gave some reasonable reasons for a ship, like the Zoro Tashigi one. You know what? That's perfectly fine. You gave some sort of actual logical reason for it. Law and Robin, sure. I mean, sure, if you believe in shipping interests with each other, sure. I mean, great. But plenty of people could have similar interests and not be shipped. Like, please. Oh my god. The shallowness. The treating us shippers as if that's like these shallow reasons, that's the only reason why we ship these. Oh my god, man. I just... You're making us look like jokes. That's what this video felt like to me. That's why The only legit threat to any Straw Hat ship is the idea that, Oda probably still doesn't want any Straw Hat ship to be a thing. But what the hell are you talking about Romance Dawn and then connecting that to Luffy Nami not having any sort of romance and connecting to the frickin' first ship? What is that? No Luffy Nami shipper even uses that. You discredit Luffy Shirahoshi because Shirahoshi is 16, yet say the same thing about Sanji and Pudding, who's also 16. You're discrediting the moments between Frankie and Robin because they're Straw Hats. Sure, there are moments where she rejects it, but it's not that she rejected them. Brooke, got involved as well in certain moments, right? But they do have a good bond with each other, Frankie and Robin. But you're discrediting that for Law and Robin because they share similar interests. Which, by the way, doesn't mean they should be shipped. That's not that is also a shallow reason. Oh, these two characters have similar interests. Oh, we should ship them together. I have shipped for 20 years on One Piece, and I've done research. I have looked into characters, looked into things, and you're saying that none of that fucking matters because you're giving these shallow reasons for why I ship for what I ship or why other people ship for what they ship. That's just disrespectful to the people who have been shipping these ships for so long, man. Whatever. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and comment.